I think something a lot of us struggle with is setting boundaries and saying no. So that is what I would like to talk about in this video. And I thought, again, being in my bed was like the right place and right spot for it. I have my coffee and my blanket because it's cold. But yeah, and I think I'm going to start by putting myself as an example. So I haven't known how to say no my entire life. It's something that I have always struggled with. I've always put the needs of others first before my own needs. And for me, what was important was to make others happy rather than me being happy. And I think I've always thought of it as if they're happy, then I will be happy. But the problem with this is that at the end you are abandoning yourself and you're not doing the things that you value or think that are important for yourself because you're always prioritizing other people's needs. And the reason for this is because first, you haven't set clear boundaries for yourself, and second, you don't know how to say no. So in this video, there are going to be two parts. First of all, I want to talk about why. Why is it important to set boundaries? And how can that affect our health? And the second part is how to say no and how to set boundaries. And maybe that's not like the rule to follow, but what helped me and what I have learned in the sessions with my therapist, because I didn't learn this on my own. So I will leave the timestamps in the description so that you can jump to whatever part you're more interested at this time, because maybe you just want to go ahead and see how to say no, and then on another time come back to why is it important. Maybe you want to watch the entire video, that is great. Or maybe today you just want to learn why is it so important to actually say no and set boundaries, and maybe another day you want to learn how to, follow the steps. So maybe let's start by defining what a boundary is. So boundaries are the limits that we set with ourselves around what we will or will not tolerate. So if you haven't set any boundaries, there's a very high probability that the people around you would actually set that for you. And the most basic example is when you want to do something but you end up not doing it and doing another thing that another person has come to you and told you that you will do, whether it is a plan, a task, whatever it is, but you haven't set the boundaries, you haven't set, clear things for yourself, so you end up doing other things and you get frustrated. So that means that you haven't set your boundaries and you end up, again, what I mentioned before, abandoning yourself and prioritizing other people's needs. So you end up being a people pleaser. So why is setting boundaries and saying no so important? The first one is that if you set boundaries, you reduce your stress levels. When you don't set boundaries and when you say yes to everything, you tend to overcommit and you end up taking a lot more than you can handle. And this leads to chronic stress. And I think I am right now a very clear example of what that can do. I decided not to wear any makeup whatsoever in today's video so that you can see. I don't know if you can see very well, but my skin has broken up completely. It has even broken in the back. I don't know if you can see in the back of my head, all around like my chest and my back. This happens every single time I go through an enormous amount of stress, and this stress has been caused because I have this bad habit of whenever I come for a very long vacation and I want to get back to the work routine as quickly as possible, I say yes to everything stressful. I ended up not going to the gym, not eating well, working the entire day on my experiments or whatever it is that I had to do, come back home and study, and I had 3 anxiety attacks in 1 week. So this is just an example of what happens when you say yes to everything. So what I did is say no, and nothing happened. You know what I mean? Like sometimes we're so scared of saying no to something because we're like getting way ahead of time and overthinking what will happen if we say no, when the majority of the people are very understanding. And if you just express how you feel and what you think about certain things, it's way easier. But yeah, if you set boundaries and you learn how to say no, the first thing you're gonna get is that you're going to have reduced stress levels because you don't overcommit. The next one, which is pretty obvious, is that you will prevent burnout, because With overcommitting and with taking a lot more that you can handle, it means that you will have to stop doing other things, as I just described. It will mean that you will have to end up working after work hours and also during the weekends. You will not rest for a period of time, hence you will end in burnout. So by setting boundaries, saying no, and taking time for yourself, you will prevent burnout. The next thing is that you will have increased productivity and efficiency because you have managed to prioritize the task and know exactly what you need to do and when you need to do it. Said yes to certain things, said no to certain things, so you actually know what to work on, when to work on those things, and you're productive and efficient because you are not thinking about the amount of things that you have to do in just one moment. And this leads me to the next thing, which is a better sleep quality. And I think this is pretty obvious that I don't even have to explain it. But whenever we have a lot of stress, we have burnout, we overcommit, we have a lot of things in our minds and things that we want to work on, but we don't have the time and we have to rush. At the end, you're taking that with you to bed. I know there's a lot of people out there that can't sleep whatever happens in their lives, but in my case, if my life is a complete mess and I'm a mess and I'm in stress, my sleep is horrible. Like, I cannot sleep well. I'm like thinking all the time about everything that I have to do, and if I'm feeling frustrated because I would actually be doing another thing, or I would actually be doing certain things in another way, that is staying with me. And now the other two good things that kind of come in hand with what I just mentioned. The first one is enhanced physical health and the second one is enhanced emotional well-being. The first one is because with chronic stress, we have a lot of inflammation in our body, and chronic stress can result in different type of other health issues. So by setting boundaries, saying no, you reduce your stress levels, and this means you're actually reducing the risk of developing other health issues, which mean you're feeling better and you're overall healthy. And the other one, which is enhanced emotional well-being, is because when you set boundaries and you say no, you're honoring yourself, you're prioritizing yourself, and that is a way of showing yourself self-love. That is a way of showing yourself that you care about yourself. And this leads to an increased self-esteem and a greater sense of control over one's life. Setting boundaries for yourself means that you're actually getting the time to decide what healthy habits you want in your life, what things you want to do that brings you joy, that brings you calmness, whatever it is that you love, whatever it is that you value and think it's important for you. By setting boundaries and saying no, you're taking the time for those things. Okay, now into the second part of the video, which is how to set boundaries and how to say no. I feel like these two just come together. So the first one is self-awareness. In order to set boundaries for yourself and in order to say no, it is very important that you know exactly what you want. It's very important that you get to know yourself. What are the things that you desire and what are the things that you feel like you need in your life? Because if you don't make this decision, if you don't decide upon these things, others will make the decision for you. And I'm not saying that they will make it intentionally. Majority of the times this happens without even noticing, but it will happen. I think it's very important to understand your own limits and your own priorities. So once you have done this step, the next one is to stay consistent. And the reason for this is because if you set your boundaries and you know exactly what you need, you know exactly what makes you happy and what your priorities are, but when the moment comes, you do not say no to other things so that you can take time for yourself, you're not prioritizing yourself. You are abandoning yourself. And in here, there's this thing where your brain learns that. Your brain is constantly seeing what we are doing. And even though you're not actively training your brain is being trained. So when the moment comes and someone asks you for something, and maybe that's something you don't want to do, or maybe I can do it, but maybe not in this moment, but you end up doing it the moment that person asks you for it, you are abandoning that thing that you promised yourself you were going to do. Your brain learns that. So the next time that you set a goal for yourself, or you say to yourself, okay, today this is my priority, until I don't do these things, I will not do any other thing. Deep down, you don't believe that you will do that. Because you are constantly abandoning yourself to prioritize the needs of other people. So when setting boundaries, it is very important to stay consistent. And it is going to be very hard if this is like the first time you do it. So me, myself, I'm still struggling with this because this is something very new to me. I was always prioritizing other people. I was always a people pleaser. And it has been thanks to my therapist, who is amazing, that gave me several like homeworks and tasks for me to prioritize myself and learn how to say no and set boundaries. So at first it will be very hard. You will feel like even awkward to say no to something. You even might think, oh my god, how am I going to say no? What is that person going to feel if I say no? Will I hurt them? Will I offend them? And this is where the next step comes in. I think it's very important to communicate and express your boundaries and your desires. So I'm not saying you need to express this to every single person out there, but at least the people that you care about and you think, okay, maybe if I say no, they might get a little bit annoyed or might feel bad, you know. So I think it's very important to communicate and express how you're feeling or why you're saying no to a certain thing. Mainly if you have a partner, I think communication is very, very important. Also to prevent the other person overthinking something or getting to a conclusion that it's not real. Like, you don't care about me, you know? I think here there are very two important concepts. The first one, how other people respond or feel about your decision. It's not on you, it's on them. That is something that I really had to make an effort to learn. And the other concept is about communication and about how you say no. You don't have to be rude or say it in a very aggressive way. You can just express no with gratitude, like, oh, thank you so much for thinking about me for this thing, but actually there's this other thing that I need to work on, or by this time I have this other blah blah blah, whatever it is. I think we can express how we feel in a very kind way and not have to be rude or aggressive about it. The next thing I think it's very important, and also I struggled a lot, is to try and make sure that everyone is okay and that everyone is happy. Because the majority of the times when you are prioritizing other people and when you are trying to make sure that everyone is okay, that everyone is happy, no matter what, that comes at a very high price. That comes at the expense of your authenticity and your well-being. So try not to make a very big effort into making everyone happy and making sure everything is okay, because we need to accept and normalize that not everyone is going to get along. That is okay. Not everyone is going to be okay every day 24/7, and that is okay. And you're not always going to be liked by everyone, and that is okay. And I had to learn that with, you know, the years and my experiences. I'm not liked by everyone. In fact, I can tell when someone doesn't like me. I don't care. It's okay. I'm not rude or aggressive or unkind to that person. I just know we don't get along, but if I see you, hi, how are you? Hope you're well. Move on with my day. And it's okay. Nothing happens. It's not the end of the world. The next step here is to say no to things that don't serve you. And this is, for me at least, quite hard. I think this is particularly hard mainly when you have this situation. For example, let's say that you've got a lot of friends planning this event and you are looking at that event like, I'm not really interested in that event, and I would actually be doing this other thing. If that event really doesn't serve you in anything, like there's nothing out of that value, because I mean, I think it as, okay, they're my friends. I value and appreciate my friends and I want to spend time with my friends. But not every single thing that my friends like to do, I like to do. So when they're planning to do a thing that actually doesn't serve me and I don't like it, I would rather let them know, look guys, I'm not really for this thing that you're planning. You go ahead and enjoy it, and this other time we can maybe plan this other thing that we can all enjoy. And I think that is completely fine. So this is what I want to say with just say no to things that don't serve you, because this can also lead you to feeling frustrated, and that is a really not good feeling. The next one is to take time to respond, and this is something that I actually love. Sometimes when you're faced with, you know, a task or a plan, or someone comes and asks for a favor, you don't have to say no immediately or yes immediately. You can be like, I'm not sure if I will be able to, but just give me a moment, let me check on my schedule, and I will get back to you about that. And that's it. And you can just go home, think things through, and see what you feel about that. See if you can or want to do it, and that's it. But I think that particular step for me was incredibly helpful. Like, I just want to take time to organize and think about things. And the last one is ask for help. Setting boundaries and saying no, it's not an easy thing, mainly when you have never put that into practice. And I myself have constantly said it in this video. I learned it because I am in therapy, and I have been in therapy for a lot of years, like on and off. And I think this is just great to get to know yourself, to learn things, to set your boundaries. And yeah, so if you feel like it's too hard for you to do it on your own, ask for help. Therapy, friends, family, someone you trust. And yeah, I think this is the most important advice in this video. Ask for help if you need to. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay, so this is the end of the video. I really hope that you liked it. I just went through this very recently, and me and my YouTube manager actually thought that is such an important message, not only to be happy and work on the life that you want, but actually being healthy, because chronic stress is really not good. So yeah, feel free to share this with anyone that you think needs to listen to this. Yeah, you can share your experiences in the comments or join us in our community. It would be lovely to have you there and just support each other. So I'm going to say goodbye now, and I'll see you in the next one.